All right, today we're going to unlock one of the most powerful ideas in all of programming, Python functions. And look, we're not just going to talk about the syntax, we're going to see how they can totally transform your code from, this messy, repetitive nightmare into something that's clean, efficient, and super reusable. So let's dive right in.
I love this quote. It just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? And hey, we've all been there. I know I have. You copy and paste a block of code thinking it's a quick fix. But this little rule of thumb, it's like a friendly tap on the shoulder, telling you, hey, there's a much, much better way to do this.
Okay, so part one, the problem. Let's really dig into what we're trying to solve here. What does this mess of repetition actually look like in our code? And why is it such a headache to deal with? So take a look at this. You're printing a greeting, let's say 3 times. And yeah, it works. But now, what happens when you need to change that greeting? You've got to hunt down and change it in every single spot. Imagine doing that 30 times. Or what if the code block was 10 lines long? It's a total recipe for disaster and, honestly, a breeding ground for frustrating bugs.
So what's the solution? Well, we need a way to bundle up that repetitive code. Think of it like creating a recipe. You write down the instructions just once, and then you can use that recipe whenever you need it. And that's exactly what a function is. It's the core idea that's going to change how you write code, for sure.
So, formally, what is a function? It's a named block of reusable code that does a very specific task. And that named part is super important. It's like giving your recipe a name, so you can just call on it whenever you need it. This is what keeps your code organized, focused, and incredibly efficient. And here it is, the big payoff. Just look at this. On the left, you've got that tangled mess of repeated code. But on the right, it's so much better. We define our greet function just one time using that def keyword, and then we can call it as many times as we want with one single clean line. This is what people mean when they talk about the don't repeat yourself or DRY principle. It's a total game changer. Okay, but what's actually happening behind the scenes? Let's pull back the curtain for a second. When Python sees our greet function call, it's like it hits a little detour sign on the road. It jumps over to where we define the function, runs every single line of code inside that block, and then, this is the cool part, it just seamlessly returns right back to the main road, to the exact spot it left off, and keeps on going. Pretty neat, right? All right, so we've conquered repetition. That's awesome. But now we've got a new challenge on our hands. Our greet function right now is kind of like a one-trick pony. It can only do one very specific thing. So the question is, how do we make it more flexible? How do we turn it into a versatile tool that can adapt to different situations? I mean, think about it. Our current function is a bit impersonal. It just says hello. What if we want to greet different people by name? To do that, we need a way to pass information into our function. It's like sending it a little message that tells it exactly what to do this time around. And this is how we do it. Inside the parentheses of our function definition, we create a placeholder. You can think of it like an empty box, just waiting for something. We've decided to label our box name, and now it's just sitting there, ready to receive whatever data we decide to send its way when we call the function.
Okay, let's get our vocabulary straight here, because this is important. The parameter is that placeholder variable inside the function definition. Think of it as the parking spot. The argument, on the other hand, is the actual value we send to the function when we call it. That's the car that's going to park in that spot. So the argument Alice gets assigned to the parameter name. And this is where the magic really happens. We're using the exact same greetPerson function, but by feeding it different arguments, different cars, we get totally different results. We've just leveled up our code from being just reusable to being incredibly flexible. This is a huge step. We've made some incredible progress. Our functions can now take data in, which is great. But there's one final crucial piece to this whole thing. How do we get data out of the function? Printing to the screen is fine for a quick peek, but what if we need to actually capture the result and use it somewhere else in our program? And this distinction is absolutely crucial. On the left, our addPrint function. Yeah, it shows us the number 5 on the screen, but it's like a fleeting glimpse. It's just for display. When we try to actually store that result in a variable, we get nothing. Literally none. The function didn't actually give us a value back. But on the right, using the return keyword is like a delivery service. It brings the value 5 right back to us so we can store it in a variable and use it whenever, wherever we want.
So you can think of the return statement as the grand finale of your function. It doesn't just deliver a value back. It also basically drops the mic and walks off stage. As soon as Python hits that return keyword, the function's job is officially done. It exits immediately, and any code that comes after it, it's just left in the dust. It will never, ever get executed.
Okay, it's time to put all our newfound powers to the test. Let's combine everything we've just learned and tackle a messy, real-world data science problem. It's time to see our functions in action. So picture this. You've got a data set, and it's overflowing with names, but it's a complete disaster. We're talking extra spaces everywhere, random capitalization, just a total mess. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to build a single tool that can whip any name into perfect shape. And here it is, our secret weapon. We've built a function called clean_name. Let's walk through it. It takes in a messy string, right? First, .strip gets rid of any annoying white space at the beginning or end. Then, .split and .join work together as a team to handle any extra spaces in the middle. Finally, .title capitalizes it perfectly. And then, the all-important return statement sends back that polished, beautiful name. And would you look at that? A beautiful transformation. We feed our function that jumbled, messy string, and it hands us back a work of art. This is what it's all about. We didn't just solve a one-time problem. We've built a powerful, reusable tool that we can use again and again and again. And this right here is where it gets really, really exciting. That simple little function we just built, it's the foundation for some serious data science magic. When you start using a library like Pandas, you can take this exact same logic, this clean name function, and apply it to an entire column of data. We're talking thousands, even millions of names, all cleaned up with a single elegant line of code. How cool is that? So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take a look at your own code. I know you've got some. Find that one piece you've been copying and pasting over and over, and just ask yourself, what repetitive task in your code are you going to turn into a function first? Think about it, give it a shot, and see how much cleaner your code becomes. Thanks for hanging out with me today.